Today, I've got a hefty episode for you, so pull up your chair, put on your best dressing gown, grab yourself some popcorn, because I'm going to take you through Nebula's current range of portable projectors to see how the technology has changed since my review of the original Nebula capsule several years ago. And once and for all, we're going to find out what these small projectors are truly capable of by assembling an outdoor cinema to test them to the max. But before I do that, let's begin by taking a look at this one, the Capsule 3. Now straight away, this has had a huge bump up in specs from the old one. For starters, the projection has gone up from 720p to 1080p. So now we're getting full HD content from this tiny size projector that isn't much bigger than a can of fizzy bread. Now, whilst that's not the highest resolution in the world, it's certainly among the highest at this particular size. And at this price point too, but I'll come back to that shortly, because whilst we're talking about the size, I've got to say that the Capsule 3 is one of the most portable projectors that you can buy, and not just for its size, but in general for its form factor. This unusually cylindrical nature of this projector means that it can fit in those awkward side pockets of your bag that usually nothing else but your water bottle will fit into. Well, it's just a really well-designed piece of kit for portability, and the thing is, they've made it super quick to get it out from your bag and start using it. Simply whip it out, slam it down on a surface, turn it on, and within around 3 seconds it calibrates the display for the best possible viewing experience. And that's because it has autofocus and auto keystone. This is super important in my eyes for a portable projector because by nature of its design, you're moving it around all of the time, so it's likely that no one setting will be suitable for long periods of time, unlike a much larger projector that usually stays in place all the time. But to go one better, it features intelligent environment adaptation too, so not only will it focus and keystone the image, it will also avoid projecting onto any obstacles and auto-fit the screen to the appropriate size and space for the maximum viewing experience without obstructions. This means that if you have something like a plant or a bottle of whiskey or someone's fat balding head in the way, you can set it to automatically adjust the size and screen placement to avoid projecting onto that object. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this on a projector before, and I'm all for it. It just makes perfect sense from a portability aspect, and I can't understate how important this is to the overall experience. And I love the fact that it takes away the need to sift through menu after menu and twisting bunch of knobs and dials for 20 minutes just to get a good picture. Incidentally, you can turn this functionality off if it's suitable to do so, but for me it makes no sense to turn it off, so I leave it on, especially when I'm moving around with it. Now, it's also got an inbuilt speaker, and although it's small, it actually packs quite a punch. It's got that richness that I was kind of expecting, to be honest, from a company under the Anker brand, because obviously Anker also owns Soundcore, which are fantastic. But I remember thinking the exact same thing with the original capsule that we reviewed. Now, another huge positive design choice that they've made with the speaker is that you can actually use this speaker as a Bluetooth speaker for your phone without having to turn the projector on, meaning it's a really useful multifunctional device. Now, in respect to its brightness, being such a small unit, it hits a brightness of 200 ANSI lumens, which is no small feat, but it's less than larger projectors, and that's simply the limitation of the form factor. I would advise using this in a darker environment if you're watching anything with an overall dark tone to it, like that one episode of Game of Thrones that we've all seen, or think we've seen, but in fact we've just stared at a black screen for an hour. You know the one I'm talking about. Price-wise, its RRP is $499, which I think is really quite reasonable for some extremely small and portable technology. But if 200 ANSI lumens isn't quite enough for you, and you're happy with a slightly bigger unit, this is where the Mars 3 Air comes in. Now this is actually the first time that I'm testing this range, having previously tested almost all other versions of Nebula projectors. The Mars Air 3 is actually the newest addition to the Mars 3 lineup and the newest projector that Nebula make. Now the design is slightly larger than the Capsule 3 and it sort of has this massive grab handle on the top, which is cool and I quite like it, but it certainly has a little less compact nature than the Capsule 3, and that's largely down to the different projection technology that this uses. But a lot of the spec of the Mars 3 Air is actually similar to the Capsule 3, and like the Capsule 3 it has 1080p resolution. It also features the same intelligent environment adaptation technology too, which as I mentioned is an absolute godsend for projectors of this portable nature. And it can also be used as a Bluetooth speaker as well. And it's actually capable of going a little bit louder than the Capsule 3, as it features dual speakers on this model, which does increase the size a little. But of course, the main reason for the increase in size is the difference in light source. The Nebula Mars 3 Air has an LED light source, which is at a brightness of 400 ANSI lumens. This is an excellent brightness for a device of this size. I've tested a ton of portable projectors over the years, and most of them that are around this size with LED light sources are nowhere near to this level of brightness. So that's a massive pat on the back for Nebula for that one. And it's quite funny because you can actually visibly see that they've had to compensate for this level of high performance by including a rather large exhaust on the rear that when putting your hand in front of whilst it's on, you really feel it kicking out some heat from that light source. Useful as a hand warmer on cold days. This is multifunctional. It's a projector, a speaker, and a hand warmer. I am genuinely just so impressed with the brightness and quality that comes out of a unit this size. I mean, ultimately, neither of these are going to offer a full daytime viewing. I would always recommend a darkened environment for use, but I think that with the Mars 3 Air, you'd be okay to leave the odd light on or two, which you can see here, if I leave a lamp on, it's still perfectly viewable, even when the lamp is closer to the screen than the projector. Now, what makes these projectors stand out even further is that they run the same Google TV software, and along with this, they're among the first portable projectors to support the native Netflix app, which, believe it or not, due to a dictator of a CEO, is not a regular occurrence for portable projectors. Anyone who's bought a portable projector, or a normal one for that matter, will probably have found at some point that Netflix was very likely not working properly, or you've had to do some kind of janky workaround to install the mobile version of the app on the projectors. Well, now these are both fully certified, which is a massive sigh of relief, and it means that you'll get the most out of these when using them with streaming apps, which are all now supported by these projectors. And actually, to show off this new Netflix capability, they've even included that as a hotkey on the remote that comes with both of these projectors. And I must say, the remote is actually very nice. It's small, it's sleek, it feels light in hand, and a few of the key buttons light up when using it. Although, not all the buttons, which is a slightly unusual choice. I'm still fumbling around trying to remember which one is the volume key in the dark. So that's something. Nebula, if you're watching this, I want all the buttons to light up next time. Anyway, the price of the Mars 3 Air at launch and at its RRP is £549, and I think you're getting some really groundbreaking new technology for portable projectors for a steal here. And these prices are obviously their RRPs, so it's always worth checking out the links in the description to see if there are any discounts running at the time you're watching this episode anyway. So, why choose a portable projector over a stationary one? Well, quite simply the flexibility. These projectors allow me to create a setup in my house that's more than respectable. Sure, I'm not getting 4K image quality, and yes, I absolutely drool over 4K projectors, but with 4K comes a considerable size increase, which is where the special sauce of these two come in. Because they're portable, I can just grab them from wherever they are in the house, shove them in my bag, get up and go, taking it camping, friends' houses, or literally anywhere I want to watch a film, including on a giant cinema screen in my garden. I've done it. I've built a giant cinema outside. And this thing is massive, look. And I'm 6'8", so that is not small by any stretch. Now, I've got the Capsule Max currently projecting its picture onto this, and I'm going to talk about that in a few seconds. But before I do want to know what your favourite popcorn is. Is it sweet or salty? The moment I've got sweet, which is nice. I do sometimes go for a mix, because the salty is like an evil thing, and the sweet is like a nice treat afterwards. Let me know in the comments what your favourite popcorn is, and let's end this war once and for all. Anyway, let's talk about the Capsule 3. So, currently it's projecting nearly 150 inches, and that's past its kind of maximum rated screen size at 120 inch. And it looks fantastic. This thing is more than capable of 150 inch projection. And because we're in complete darkness, or near darkness, got a couple of little lights on here and there, it's actually really, really bright. Fantastic for its size. I cannot believe the size of this thing can project something like that out here on 150 inch. It just goes to show that even though this is a portable projector, it's fully capable of doing some amazing things. Thing is, we've exceeded the screen size by 30 inches. Just look at that quality from something that isn't much bigger than a jar of pickled eggs. Delicious. Now let's look at the Mars 3 Air. This thing can give me 150 inches of screen space. That's on my outdoor cinema. That pretty much makes the entire screen light up with colour. And look how good it is. It's just insane. That extra brightness is a real game changer, especially when using it at this size. Oh, that's my cinema blowing over. Ah, it's back. There we go. I'm fine. Oh my God, that was close. Evidently, that was my sign to pack up before it blows away properly. See you back inside. Now, let it be said that I love these projectors, but as always, nothing is perfect. And there are a few things that I need to talk about and some expectations that need to be set. The first is that although these are super portable and predominantly recommended for flexible use both indoor and out, neither of them have a waterproof rating, as far as I can tell. Now, this isn't something I've ever really thought about until testing these in the middle of winter in Wales, where it's rained for the past 5 years non-stop. But then again, do any portable projectors actually have an IP rating? Either or, I think it would be a great opportunity here for Nebula to build in some form of IP rating for full confidence when using them outdoors. I mean, maybe not on the Mars 3 Air, but the Capsule does look like it could be very resilient to water because there's no large gaps like the exhaust section on the Mars 3 Air, but still a visible IP rating would have been nice. The next thing you need to consider is the battery life. Both of these projectors only have 2.5 hours of use on the battery. Now, whereas that is great because you've got a battery inbuilt in these, it means you can pick them up, go and watch films without needing to plug them in. That 2.5 hours could be limiting, especially when you consider that films nowadays just seem to go on and on and on and on and on and on. Quite needlessly as well. But that could cause issues depending on the length of film you're trying to watch. Of course, you can just plug them in. And if you have something like the Anker Solix F1200 that we reviewed a few months ago, then you could just power these forever with that. But it's something you're certainly going to need to consider if you're intending on taking these with you into the wilderness to watch all 3 extended editions of Lord of the Rings. It's just not going to happen. You probably wouldn't even get out the Shire. On the point of charging, the Mars 3 Air uses a DC input, so if you want to power it for more than the included battery, you need to bring the rather large and cumbersome power brick and cable with you, which is a bit of a pain in the bottom. The Capsule 3, on the other hand, has a USB-C input, giving you more flexibility on how you charge it. Maybe the only other thing, and I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here for feedback, the one thing that would make these projectors better would be some form of angle of height adjustment ability. As it stands, both of them are completely horizontal when placed on a flat surface like this desk, which means if you want to project the image onto a surface that's higher or lower than the surface that it's on, you will need to use a tripod. Even some simple little ball head ones will do the job. But the Mars 3, the bigger brother of the Air, has a built-in kickstand, which I think could be really useful on these portable models, because you could just angle it slightly depending on where you were projecting. Putting those points to one side though, I've been blown away by Nebula's current portable offering, and I think both the upgraded Capsule 3 and the new Mars 3 Air might just be some of the best portable projectors that you can buy right now. But not just this, I would seriously go as far as saying that they would work perfectly well in a more permanent spot around the house too, yet offer that flexibility that other projectors just don't offer. If you want to check out either the Capsule 3 or the Mars 3 Air, I would advise taking a look at the links below, because like I said earlier, the prices are all RRP that I've been talking about today, and there may be some discounts, at which I'd probably snap up one of these straight away if there's any form of discount. But before you check out those links, make sure you let me know in the comments what your popcorn of choice is, sweet or salty, and may the best popcorn win. We all know it's sweet. And if you enjoyed today's episode on Nebula projectors, I'd advise taking a look at another episode on something mentioned in today's episode, the Anker Solex F1200 battery, which we used to power a game of Call of Duty from the top of a Welsh mountain. But other than that, guys, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon.